The views expressed on this channel are only a few of many possible ways to achieve your desired outcome. The suggestions present on this channel are not one size fits all. So, let's begin. All right, so we are getting into Abundance 101. If this is your first class with me, welcome, welcome. This is an introduction to modern money manifestation. We're pretty chill around here, but we get the job done, don't we? So, if this is your first time seeing this page, welcome. But if you're coming from my shadow work, energy protection, reality shifting, any of those courses, then you've seen this page before. So of course, be on your Zoom at 10. As we get larger, we may do some live classes so we can answer questions. But right now, these are all pre-recorded. Do your homework. I don't grade homework or really assign busy work. It's just things that are going to help you. So since this is money manifestation, it's homework that's going to help you manifest money. So of course, stay up to date on your studies, stay hydrated. Yes, you can eat, stay full of nutrients, ask questions and participate and have fun. So the units we will be going through are understanding the type of abundance you are currently manifesting. Do you want currency, wealth, cash, money, etc.? We will be digging into those deeper today. It's just about understanding what you want. I feel like a lot of time when we manifest things, we just know we want. There's like a void to be filled. And we just want to fill the void. Like, you know, I feel poor. Being poor makes me sad. Manifest money. But we're really going to be going into what we really want and how it's going to help us achieve what we really want to achieve. So then we have learning your manifestation style, when to be passive versus when to be active. So we're not going to be using terms like feminine or masculine energy just because I feel like those terms have a lot of baggage. And I feel like people are like misconstrued a lot of what it means to be in feminine or masculine energy. So I'm going to say when to be passive versus when to be active. Uh when you want a manifestation, you're going to have to be in different modes at different times. uh I don't believe anyone should be in passive energy their whole life or active energy their whole life. If they want to evolve. I mean, if you just want to live, and you can even live well being in one energy state, oh, just your feminine or just your masculine energy. But I think if you want to evolve, you're going to have to use all the tools in your toolbox. And you have masculine and feminine energy for a reason. You have that passive versus active energy. Passive would be like, okay, so your manifestation is to have like a big, juicy burger. You want to eat a burger. Passive energy would be like going to a restaurant, um, looking at the menu, and then the waiter comes up and you just go, can I have the burger, please? Right? You know, you're not worried about how it gets made. You're not worried about how it's going to get done. You don't really care. You know, it's coming to you because you asked for it and you let the waitress know, you let the universe know. Active energy is like, I want a big, juicy burger. Well, I think I can make that, right? So you go to the store and you get all the ingredients and you really get your hands dirty, you know, and you do it yourself. So in either situation, you get the burger, right? And it's not that one necessarily takes longer than the other, because in some situations, if I already have the ingredients to make the burger, it's going to be quicker for me to make it than it will be for you to get dressed up, drive to a restaurant, order it, wait for them to cook it, and give it to you. On the other hand, if I have to buy the ingredients myself, that's me driving to the grocery store, walking through all the aisles, buying all the stuff, and it might be quicker for you to order it and be passive. So, depending on who you are, what you're working with, what you have in your own personal disposal, there's a time to be passive, there's a time to be active, there's a time when being passive will be quicker, there are times when being passive will be slower. And it kind of varies person by person. That's why it's important to know yourself, right? To know yourself and what you want. You know, I want to. This is where we go back to understanding the type of thing you're trying to manifest. So I want a burger, but I also want to really monitor my salt intake, and I also want it to be a specific type of black bean burger, and I also want this, and I also want that. At that point, it might be better for you to make it yourself because you have certain needs. Now you no longer just want a burger. You understand the type of thing you are manifesting. You want a specific type of burger, and you want the bread to be gluten-free, and you want the ketchup to be all natural, organic, and you want the lettuce to be crisp and like that butter lettuce or whatever, and you want the mayo to be spicy, low fat. Like you want so much. And there's nothing wrong with that, to be honest. But because you know exactly what you want, you understand, well, would it be quicker to go to like a typical burger joint and ask them to do all that? Or would it be quicker and better for me to go make it myself? And that's kind of where the importance of understanding what you want. Not just I want burger, not just I want money, but specifically what kind of wealth do I want and what do I think I want to do with it right now. Not even with the rest of your life, just right now. So we're going to understand manifestation style, and you should be able to, well, by the end of this course, be able to tell when you're in active mode, when you're in passive mode, and when it'll be better for you personally to shift modes, right? So then we'll be understanding your relationship with money and where it stems from. So one thing that might be affecting how you manifest money is working through your relationship with money, which we will be getting into. In our shadow work course, we go a lot into wounds we got in our childhood. Like, for instance, something that might set the tone with your relationship with money is when you were a kid and you wanted something and your parents said, no, we cannot have it. Do you have, McDonald's money? So not only do you not get the McDonald's, you also get made to feel eventually, and essentially as a kid broke. So you don't have money and you don't have McDonald's. You don't have the thing you want and you don't have the means to get it. And that just gets further sorry, I've done so many courses today, my head hurts. It just gets further cemented into your psyche that there's not enough money, you don't have enough money, there's never enough money, and that you do not have the means to get what you want. Because it happens in childhood, but then it gets further cemented as you get older. So for instance, you hear that as a kid and then you buy your first car and you're very proud of it and you drive it around and then you get to school or wherever and people laugh at you and they're like, oh, what a broke person car, which you should ignore, but they say that. And so you look at your car and instead of this thing that gets you from point A to point B that you should be proud of that you got, now you're like, okay, I don't have enough money to get a good car. So not only do I not have a good car, I'm lacking that. I clearly didn't have the money to get a car that gets me respected. So it's that I don't have what I want, I don't have what I need, and I don't have the means of getting it either. And then it also develops into a thing of shame. Well, I am a shameful person, or the things I have are shameful because they do not impress people, which we all know is BS, but it really hurts us, right? We go into that in our shadow work, but it's understanding your relationship with money and how you speak about money. Oh, I never have enough money. Oh, money doesn't, come to me easily. I've always had a struggle for money, and even then it was never enough, right? And we're going to be working on that self-talk and also how we talk about money and to ourselves about money. Then finally is going to be understanding the power of testimony. So how your manifestations are strengthened by testimony. And even if you're just testifying to yourself, it does go a long way. Basically, it's gratitude. It's practicing gratitude. It's being able to point out times when things worked out for you in a good way and you didn't know that they would. Because I think it's easy for us to get wrapped up into lack and how we don't know how things are going to happen. And everything's a double-edged sword. So I don't know how I'm going to get this money. Rest can also be excitedly, well, I don't know how I'm going to get this money. Because just like there's a million ways in this world to lose money, there's a million ways to get money. And you don't really understand that until you open yourself up to it. If you say there's a million ways to lose money, but there's only one or two ways to get good money, that's going to be your reality. And you're not going to be open to opportunities around you. But as soon as you go, you know what? There's a million ways to lose money, but there's a million ways to get money too. Sorry, I'm a little bit stuffy. We're just going to have to deal with it. As soon as you can say, you know what, there's a million ways to get money, you start really seeing that there's a million ways to get money. There are people getting rich off of feet pics online. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's not hard work, but I'm just saying people are getting money. People have are into sneezing. Like some people have a sneezing fetish, and people are getting money sneezing on camera. So this is not to put down anyone's hustle because we are definitely not doing that here. But it's as soon as you say, you know what, there actually are a lot of ways to get money, and I'm not gonna act like I'm too proud to do something. Well, if you don't want to post feet pics, I'm not telling you that you have to, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? So when you testify, when you say, you know what, that opened my eyes, and when you can admit it to yourself, it doesn't matter if you can admit it to a room of people, which is good, but as soon as you can admit it to yourself, that's when you've done a lot for yourself. So we will be going through all of this in this course. Uh, there will be homework, there will be projects. I do not grade any of it. I do not even check to see if you've done it. But we can talk about it in the comment section. If you don't do it, I will respond to everybody. Um, I will be opening up a Discord soon so we can discuss more in depth there. Homework is always going to be something that helps you. The homework and money manifestation class is going to be a lot of fun. Because it's usually going to revolve around shopping and not spending real money, not shopping for real, but it will revolve around shopping. So it's going to be very fun. Project 1 is going to be a manifestation board booklet, which let's not get ahead of ourselves, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a midterm. And then Project 2 is going to be a manifestation picture checklist, which is going to be there. And then a final. So the chapters within the units are Introduction to Money Manifestation, which is what we're doing now. There is What is Money and Where Does It Come From? There is Utilizing Moods and Thoughts, Patching Up Money Wounds, Filling and Emptying the Manifestation Board booklet, Props for Success, and then the body, the mind, the table, the altar. So let's go. Symbolic money. So you want a lot of money, okay? That's probably why you're here. You want a lot of money, but do you know what it is? Usually when we think of money, we think of currency. Got the hiccups. And when we think of wealth, we think of owning a lot of currency and tangible assets. What you probably really want is an abundance of spending power, right? You probably also want ownership of desired objects. So that is where understanding what you really want comes into. So you think you want a lot of money, but you probably want a lot of spending power. And if it sounds redundant, let's hop into this chart, right? So know your abundance. Which one do you really want? So currency, it's money, cash, or credit. Currency is like paper, metal coins, shells, it's beads, it's any object that you use and you assign value to. So it's symbolic. It's not actual wealth because it's not. It's a representative that has been assigned wealth. For instance, you have a lot of dollar bills, you have a lot of $5 bills. You got about $100 worth of $5 bills. The government decides tomorrow that they want all dollar bills to be purple, and the only money that's valid is the purple money. Suddenly, your pieces of paper are useless, not because they ever had inherent value, but because they all had an agreed upon value. The government said that green piece of paper with a 5 on it is going to be worth $5, and you can use it to get a biggie bag. You can use it to get this. The minute they decide that that paper is useless, you still have a big stack of paper. But guess what? That big stack of paper is now worth nothing. That's why it is symbolic. It's representative. It's symbolized. That's why money has a symbol. It's a symbol. It doesn't. We all agree that it has value, but as soon as we stop agreeing on its value, it goes down, right? Usually the government tells us it has a value, and we have to agree to it. You know what I mean? We have to agree. But it gains and loses values. It can be lost or destroyed or limited. You can leave the house with $20 in coins. You drop those coins down the drain and you have lost them. You're not about to fish them out the drain. I've never seen anybody do that. I mean, well, shoot, you get in that drain, I guess you got them back. But for the most part, you leave the house with $10 bills and someone burns them. Your money has disappeared. You can't really, unless you want to go through the long process of suing them, you're not getting that back. So it's just the paper, the shells, the beads, the coins, the metal, it's the whatever. It gains and loses value. The value of the dollar goes up, the value of the dollar goes down. We know this. So when people manifest a lot of money, a lot of cash, a lot of credit, know what you are manifesting, which there's nothing wrong with having a lot of money, but know what you're asking for, because it's probably what you're going to get, right? Then there's wealth and abundance. So you're manifesting wealth or abundance. You want a lot of money. It's a lot of cash. That's what a lot of wealth is. Wealth is a lot of money. And go back to what is money? Money is that paper, the coins, the shells, beads, physical object. You want a lot of whatever this is that has value. You want a lot of credit. You want a lot of jewels, jewelry. You want a lot of luxury brands. You want other physical items that can be cashed, sold, pawned, or otherwise exchanged for a large amount of currency. You want a mansion. You want physical objects that are worth a lot of this. So currency can be a $1 bill or a $5 bill. But when you want wealth, you want like a lot of a lot of these things, right? You want a lot of credit. You want a black card. Like now you no longer just want a credit card, you want a black card. It's that card with no limit, you know what I mean? But it's still symbolic, it's still representative, it's still portrayal of true wealth. It gains and loses value. There's a luxury brand. You have a shirt by a luxury brand, you can sell it for $15,000. Something happens with that company, we all boycott it. You can sell the shirt for maybe $5 the next year because of how bad the boycott was. So it's not even true wealth. You have a mansion and it gets infested with termites, and then the next year it floods and there's damage to the floors, and the windows get knocked out. You cannot sell that mansion for anywhere near as much as you got it from in that infested with termites. And like you could probably sell it for something, I don't know to who. It'll be a fixer upper, but it's not going to be worth all it was. It gained and lost values. Where on the other hand, you have that mansion and it gets destroyed and you fix it up and you make it worth more than it was before. That's how it would gain value. So it's not even actual like wealth. It's like a physical item that can be, whoever appraises it basically gives it value, right? So you want a lot of things that are worth a lot, luxury, uh things you can exchange for cash, things that cost a lot, cars and stuff like that. uh I said what most people want when they're manifesting wealth or current a lot of currency is purchasing power, because with purchasing power comes these things naturally. You get these things naturally. So purchasing power is the ability to purchase or acquire any needs and wants, such as a physical item or an experience, such as a safari. You can't buy a safari because it's like an experience, right? So that's what purchasing power is, because if you have the ability to purchase or acquire any need or want, you would have to have a lot of currency. You would have to have a lot of wealth or abundance. So usually I try to manifest starting from this level, because at this level, this is where you can get what you need to live, and this is where you can get what you want. And then it comes with having a lot of money. It comes with having a lot of cash. It comes with having, luxury or non-luxury. You could have a lot of purchasing power and never buy luxury. But you have that power too. And power gets a little bit more complicated. It can be affected by the economy, but when we get into power, it stops being so physical. Sorry, I'm stretching. It stops being so physical. So it stops being I have a lot of paper cash. It stops being, well, I have a big mansion, I have cars. It now becomes something harder to take away. Like a hurricane couldn't take it away, and a fire could. It's purchasing power. It could also mean you're worth a lot too. So it's like who you are as a person with your celebrity status. You can walk into a restaurant, which is why I say ability to purchase or acquire. You can walk into a restaurant and they're like, oh my God, it's so and so, have this on the house. So you can get a dinner on the house just for being a celebrity, which goes back to power, because it's no longer a physical specific grouping of physical items. It's no longer a pile of cash. It's now like power. It's an ability. And to really hammer home why I start manifesting from this level, and I started doing it recently, is that you don't want to manifest that you get a lot of Chanel makeup. You ask to do, you get a lot of Chanel makeup. It's worth a lot, right? You have a whole bunch of Chanel makeup and it's all worth a lot. Something happens to you and you're in your house and you are very hungry. You cannot afford food, but you've got all this Chanel makeup and technically it was worth a lot, but it's all half used. You can't buy it. You try to sell it online. Nobody wants it because it's so used up. But you've got all this luxury around you. You've got all this stuff around you, and yet you're still starving because you can't do anything with it. Same with money and cash. This is a very complicated situation, but I'm pretty sure it's not impossible. So say you do not have a car and your phone's broken. So you can't call anyone and you can't DoorDash or Uber Eats or anything like that. But you have $2,000 in cash, like right next to your bed, $2,000 in cash. And you're starving and you're very hungry. You're also disabled. So you can't get up. You can't walk to the store. You can't catch a bus to the store if you're, for the sake of the situation. You can't get up and you can't call anyone because your phone doesn't work. But you have enough money, paper money and coins to buy any food you want, but you have no means of getting there. Uh, it's like being a pirate on a ship and you're thirsty. You're so thirsty, you're dehydrated, and you're surrounded by all this salt water. Like you can't drink it, right? So it'd be like being thirsty on a ship going, oh, I wish I could just manifest water. And then you get surrounded by salt water. And it's like, I can't use this. And so that's why I'm like, it's really important to know what you want. Because salt water definitely does have its uses, just like money has its positive uses, just as wealth and abundance have their positive uses. But what you want, what you would say is, I want drinkable water within my reach. Have you ever seen when, like, the stories where someone tells a genie exactly what they want and the genie grants their wish, but they do it in the most effed up way that they can't use what they wish for? So when you manifest, it's about really getting in touch with yourself if you can and knowing what you really want. So I don't just want a lot of cash laying around so I can flex. I don't just want to be wearing a lot of luxury clothes and luxury cars with a lot of cash. I want purchasing power. I want an ability. I want a power, right? I want power. I want an ability to get what I want and need. And, it fluctuates, but I want a power and I want an ability. But you can take it a step forward and ask for an abundance mindset. So if you ask for an abundance mindset, now you get the purchasing power automatically, you get the wealth automatically, you get the currency automatically, because an abundance mindset is a perception of the world as full of opportunities with a high level of availability. So you can view the world as full of opportunities to make money, but if you view them as for certain people and out of your reach, you're not going to see yourself as able to reach those opportunities. So it's a perception of the world as full of opportunities, with a high level of availability to you. It's a mindset that one can readily or easily acquire, not just what one needs, but what one desires as well. Sorry if I'm reading kind of weird. I'm stuffy. So once you reach this abundant mindset and you start opening your mind to all these opportunities and paths to you, and then you open your mind to all the skills and strengths you have and how they can be used to help you, that's when you really enter the game. You really enter the game, right? Because you're no longer looking around confused and lost and asking for small fries. Like you're no longer asking for, just $1,000 and just enough money to flex on my haters. You're no longer asking for that small fry stuff. You are asking for power. You're asking for ability, you know. Well, I just want to buy my mom a house, which is good. And these are all, valid reasons. But I'm just saying, once you realize that you have the power to really make things happen for you, you are going to stop just making small fry stuff happen and then letting the rest of your dreams go by the wayside. Because there's nothing wrong with having a lot of power and then only wanting something small and simple. But there is a difference between doing that and understanding you have power, but then also limiting yourself because that's what you think you need to do for some reason. So it's not about being greedy. We're going to get into that later, but it's not about being greedy, but it's about understanding that what you want, you can get. What you want, you can get. And if you're giving your wants different priorities, which is good, but if you're telling yourself that there are some things that are completely off limits, as in regards to abundance, as in you want I don't know, you want to be able to pay your mom's bills, which is a very noble thing. You want to be able to pay your mom's bills and you want to be able to pay your own bills. Well, if you can manifest the money for that, and if you can reach the abundance mindset for that, you could possibly dream bigger. And I don't know what bigger looks like for you, but I'm also leaving this vague on purpose because and especially when it comes to manifestation, we let too many people tell us specifically what we should manifest, which is why even when you have this guide here, you need to think for yourself. You need to think for yourself and figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Well, I manifested a currency and money and I got where I need to be. Well, that's very good. This course is more for people where other things haven't worked for them and they need to try something, or it's for if other things haven't worked and this might supplement it. Nobody, don't let anybody, any guide, any tutorial be your Bible, essentially. Don't let anyone be your one size fits all, only follow this to a T. Because the goal with these is always to get you to think for yourself eventually. And a lot of these goals, a lot of these guides are for getting you started. And usually the journey in manifestation and growing is you have a role model, you have a guide, you have someone else you're watching, you have someone else you're following. And then you realize where you're alike and you agree, and then you realize where you differ, and then that's where you develop originality. That's where you find your own power. That's where you walk your own path. But if you're following anybody to a T, you're never really walking your path, you're walking their path. So this is what I just have set up for the time being. So the abundance mindset, is a perception, right? And alongside with that perception, you get a power, you get an ability, and features of that power and ability would be the lot of money, the luxury, if you want the luxury, would be the cash or credit or whatever you want. So rather than starting on these levels, rather than just manifesting this or this, why not just cut all the middleman, manifest this, and get all of these? So the abundance mindset is the real source of wealth. All of these are like symbolic. Abundance mindset is the real source of wealth. Have you ever seen somebody with no money, but they are very comfortable with what they have and they're very comfortable with just their life in general? And you're like, oh, I could never be that broke, or I don't know who thinks like that, but some people do. That is because they're tapped into the real source of wealth, the real source of happiness, the real source of joy. They don't have that hungry void that they need to fill. They're very satisfied. And so this is why this is the source of wealth, because you can be fully satisfied without having luxury. And a lot of times, this course is not about materialism, but a lot of times people want a lot of spending power because there is a void that they are trying to fill, or something that they are trying to satisfy within themselves. Now, a lot of us want money so we can have a comfortable, livable lifestyle, so we can afford food to eat, clean water, roofs over our head for all of us and our relatives and our friends. A lot of us want money for that, but some of us still want a little extra money to live that, be able to go on vacation and not have to struggle so much. To be able to, I've never been a big luxury person, but some people love, luxury name brand, and we're not going to get into the moral implications of that because, to be honest, it does not matter. This is just a money course right now. Maybe we'll get into that in the shadow work course, not in the money course though. We're not going to get into like the ethical or the emotional aspect, but I think it's really important to know which one you really want, so you kind of know how to shift your focus. Because if you now know that the mindset is a perception that comes with all of these things, you're going to focus on honing this mindset rather than chasing this, the paper money, the paper coins, because you know that honing this mindset will get you this. So knowing what you really want is just so you can be more efficient at channeling your energy and your time. The opposite of abundance mindset is a lack mindset. So it's a perception that one does not possess the ability to acquire all of one's needs and desires. It's a perception of the world as limited in opportunities. It's real. It creates greed. It creates jealousy, but it can be corrected. Don't worry about this. This is a leftover from another chart. So moving on. So your relationship with, do you want a relationship with money, currency, wealth, purchasing power, abundance, mindset? What do you want a relationship with? And there is no wrong level to want. Like I said, if you want money and you have success and you feel comfortable saying you want money and currency, then go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. So it all comes down to you and what you feel, okay? But if you need direction, if you really have no idea, then I feel like that chart might help you. But again, it's not a one size fits all when it comes to manifestation. So, luckily, you can change your relationship with money, abundance, lack, and wealth. There are multiple ways to do it, but if it helps, to first start thinking of your manifestation as something with feelings and opinion of you. So, for instance, you want money. What are you always saying about money? Oh, there's never enough of it. I never have enough. Never, never, never. You get a bill in the mail. I don't know how I'm going to cover this. Da, 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 da. You know, what if money had ears and could overhear you? And heard you saying, well, there's never enough, and I hate money and all of the other stuff. You're manifesting that you want a relationship with it. You're manifesting that you want it in your life, but you're telling money that you don't want it, that you hate it, that there's never enough. So you really need to figure out how you speak about money, how you think about money, when you're manifesting it. Because if you pray, I want it, but if you're thinking, uh, there's never enough of it, the money's getting, kind of mixed signals. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with being able to admit two things at once. So if you do feel like you are stressed because of money and you have a bad history with money, then admit it. I think I had a bad history with money when I was younger. There did not seem to be enough of it. When I was a young adult, there did not seem to be enough of it. When I was a teenager, there did not seem to be enough of it. But now I want to work towards a better relationship with money. There's nothing wrong to admit that, oh, well, I used to be very poor with money, or oh, I used to waste all my money, or I used to gamble all my money and I didn't treat money well, and I did it because I felt like money wasn't treating me well. There's nothing wrong with admitting that. But you also need to admit the other truth of, well, I want a better relationship with money now. So let's move forward money and, start talking positively about money. Well, you know what? I love money. Money loves me. And you know what? Money's going to come through. You see a bill and you don't know what you're going to do. Say, you know what? Money's going to come through because there's lots of opportunities to get money. Just like there's a million ways to lose money, there's a million ways to gain money. And I just got to open myself up. And because it's true, you never know how you're going to lose money, but you also never know how you're going to get money. And if you pretend that know all the ways you can get money, it's not going to help you. It's really not, because you're limiting yourself. That's all it is. Well, I can only get money if I do this specific thing, and every other thing will not give me what I need. If you say that, you're not opening yourself up. Like I said, there are people making bank right now selling feet pics, and you are, well, some of them, and you are like not even considering anything even remotely, easy for you. I'm not saying you have to sell feet pics, but that's just that's been on my mind lately. Like, there are some people out here, uh, if we've been on TikTok lately, there are people making money being AIs, where they just get emotes and they say the same sentence over and over again. People are making money like emoting in their room at 2 a.m. on their cell phone camera. They don't have any equipment. They're in their overhead room lighting, no ring light, and they're getting money. So people are getting money so many ways in this world. And if you pretend like all the ways people are getting money and there's no possible way you could get money any other way, you're just doing yourself a disservice. I'm not saying you have to do those things. I'm not saying you have to be desperate, but I'm saying just don't close yourself off. And a lot of people say things like, I hate wealth. They want to be wealthy, but they say, I hate wealth. Really, what they're saying is that they hate the greed and hoarding of certain resources, abuse of power, and things like that. So that's another thing. If you hate the greed and hoarding, say that you hate the greed and hoarding that comes with some people. But if you want wealth, you got to stop saying that you hate wealth. You hate the people who have wealth and they are greedy and hoarding. You hate that. So it's just about understanding what you want and understanding what you want. Oh, I said that twice. It's about understanding what you want and understanding what you don't like. So, if you want money, when you're speaking about what you don't like, probably don't include money in that list. You know what I mean? Money can be a source of stress because you don't know how much there will be, but you really need to sort out your dislikes and your likes. Gaining an abundance mindset can be jump started by noticing the current abundances around you. Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have eyes that can see, ears that can hear, food or drink in your belly, warm clothes, a place to shower and bathe, clean drinking water? If you're watching this, chances are you have, at least a computer or phone. But most importantly, it means you have life in you. It means you're alive if you're watching this. And if you're alive, that means you have the potential to be doing something that gets you closer to where you want to be. which it does not mean you need to capitalize on every moment of your life. You don't. But resting is sometimes something that gets you to where you want to be. You know, uh, getting proper sleep. Sometimes closing, you need to study. I'm not gonna tell you not to study, but sometimes closing that book and making yourself a meal, having yourself a nice treat is something that gets you to where you want to be, right? Sometimes manifesting money properly is not grinding all day. Sometimes it's putting energy towards what you want to do for a reasonable time and then going to sleep watching your favorite videos, treating yourself, you know, positively rewarding yourself. Because sometimes the reward is what you need to be doing, when you manifest. Sometimes it's going go pee when you have to pee and not holding it for a couple hours because that's not good for your body, and you don't have a direct understanding of how all of these things, treating yourself, getting sleep, eating a meal, going to the bathroom, you don't understand how these things all have a direct impact on your manifestation. But we talked about it in the shifting reality courses, shifting to your dream reality. Uh, it is because one butterfly effect, which you can look up, but we talk about it in that course. One butterfly effect, but two, the way you manifest, how you manifest, uh, is usually a reflection of how you feel about yourself and your capabilities and your willpower and your strength. And it sounds kind of like a duh thing, but it gets really deep. We actually cover it in the shadow work course. So, if you're watching this, you have life in you, and their chances are you could be doing something towards your goal, which might be neat. Maybe you need to go to sleep. I don't know what time you're watching this. Maybe you need to go to sleep and get off the internet. Maybe you need to pause this and go to sleep and come back in the morning. Maybe you do need to not starve yourself when you're doing whatever you have to do during the day. Uh, there's so much. There's so much that has to do with your manifestation that doesn't obviously look like it's related. So, the personal and financial growth you seek isn't about impressing the mind, it's about impressing your emotional body and fortifying the mind. So, you can achieve this through habitual thoughts and actions. So, what you really want to do is impress your emotional self. You want to get less nervous about bills. You want to train yourself. If you come from a path of not being able to pay your bills, uh, you want to start trying to regulate your responses to when you open a bill and your first thought is, I can't pay this and I can't take this stress. You might want to start, I'm not a doctor. This is not a health class. This is not medical advice. Maybe you want to start finding ways to regulate your nervous system so you get less nervous when you open bills and you stop sending those fear signals to your body whenever you think about money. Maybe it's changing how you speak instead of going, I don't know how I'm going to pay this in the negative way. It's the excited way of saying, well, I don't know how I'm going to pay this because there's so many ways money could get to me, right? And it really is a journey trying to train your mindset because it will feel uncomfortable because you're doing something new. Your brain is used to you going, I don't know how I'm going to pay this over and over again, week after week after week after week. It's not quite used to being optimistic. So you're going to feel a little bit of discomfort, but you really have to start somewhere. Um, Again, shadow work can help with that. We do have a shadow work course, but uh it's just habitual thoughts and actions. Keyword on habitual, like you have to make it a habit. So if conscious habits are thoughts and actions you routinely make on purpose, unconscious habits are thoughts and actions you routinely perform unaware that you are performing them or why you are performing them. So maybe as a kid you grew up hearing your parents always complaining about bills and always fighting about bills. So before you even understood what a bill was, you heard the word bill and you got anxiety because ironically, your body might be used to the anxiety around the word bills because if you did grow up like this, you grew up with your parents arguing and fighting and complaining about bills, and their arguing gave you stress. It scared you as a kid, and so anytime you heard the word bill, you were already tuned to be nervous about bills before you even knew what a bill was. And so as you grew up, before your lack of money even became an issue, you were already nervous about bills, and it's unconscious to you now. Like you remember your parents fighting, but it is unconscious to you just how much it impacted you and just how much you remember and felt, right? So you're already used to being nervous about bills and anticipating the worst because of you've been trained. You hear the word bill as a child and then you hear your parents fighting. So you're trained to think poorly about it. And then the cherry on the cake is that also you're an adult who can't afford to pay your bills. You can't afford to pay them. So the bills already make you nervous in general. And the pain is that extra pain is that you can't afford them. Where you're going your whole life thinking you're only anxious about bills because you can't pay them. So it goes back, and we can keep going back. Um, so that's kind of how your unconscious, your inner self can play a role on how you feel about money and how you feel about your own personal power when it comes to acquiring money and being able to pay off different things. So habits and thoughts done routinely enough create consistency for better or for worse. It is important to reinforce habits that get you to your desired outcome. So, new habits can be reinforced through focused effort and consistency, which, if you don't want to do it alone by yourself, you can join us every week for these courses and practicing these things alongside with us. So, if you feel kind of weird and uncomfortable doing it alone, here we are with you. So, decide your desired outcome and the habits it would take to get there. You don't have to know the whole path, but if your desired outcome is, I want to be able to pay all my bills and never be nervous, well, let's figure out the habits it would take to get there. Well, if you don't have the money right away, what's the other part of your manifestation? I want to not be nervous. I want to pay all my bills and be able to pay them as they come. That's one part of it. And then not be nervous when I see a bill. That's the second part. Well, if we don't have the money right away, let's focus on the not feeling nervous, right? Let's focus on looking for opportunities. And when we get that bill, just like we can go, I don't know how I'm going to pay this. We can go, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to pay this because there's so many ways to get money. And even if it sounds like BS, it's not quite a lie because there are so many ways to get money. You just don't see yourself doing them. But there are lots of ways to get money, and not everything is for you to do. I keep bringing up the feet pics just because I think that's wild. That people, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's wild that people are just doing that and getting money. And no, not everything is for you to do just because you hear about it. But if you got an interest, try it. But you really don't know all the ways to get money. And as soon as you can admit that that is true, it becomes less of such a weird statement. It only feels weird because you're not used to thinking so abundantly or positively about opportunities. But once you sit there and go, you know what? People are making money in so many weird ways. It's the truth. So when you see a bill and you go, I don't know how I'm going to make the money to handle this. It's because it's true. It's because you don't know. So, everything can be a double-edged sword. So if it's a negative statement, see how there's positive. You have mystery about how you're going to be able to pay the bill. You don't know how you're going to get the money. It's a mystery. It's giving you anxiety. Well, change it into excitement if you can. So what are you going to get up to, nowadays to get your money? What are you going to get up to? What might you get into? So as you reinforce your new habits, new way of looking at the world, new way of speaking, you will bring in new experiences and interactions. Self-talk is a powerful tool. Changing the way you talk to and about yourself is one of the easiest ways to usher in change. It is in our reality shifting course, we talked about how rather than trying to shift onto a path, it's better to just become the person you need to be. So rather than just shift onto the path of I'm rich now, it's better to become a person who manages their money well, become a person who makes a lot of money. And easier said than done, but that's why it's called a path. You don't know everything right away. So, how am I going to shift into the path where I make a lot of money? That's very vague. I don't know. How am I going to become a person who makes a lot of money? Well, now we're focusing more on a person becoming a person. How am I going to become a person who makes a lot of money? Start asking yourself more questions. Well, how do I want to make money? There's lots of opportunities I don't know about, but what do I know about? What opportunities to make money do I know about? I know this, this, and this. Okay, well, do I want to explore more unconventional options? Do this, and this, right? And so just asking yourself those two questions, you already have a list of ways to get money. Then ask yourself, well, what do I see myself being able to do with my time limit and my energy level? Then you narrow down your list. Then you're like, well, who should I talk to? Or if I don't want to talk to people online or things like that, what forums should I browse? Should I go on Reddit? Should I go on YouTube? What forum should I browse? Where should I go to see what other people are doing for money? And the more you ask yourself questions, the more naturally your opportunities will open up. So rather than trying to shift onto a path, when you become a person, you start asking questions that actually get you further instead of how am I going to get this money over and over again, which sometimes gets you nowhere. It's okay, well, how do I want to make money and where should I start? Um, it's just easy. Just slightly shift the way you talk about yourself. So we're not going to get into the hypnosis guide because there is a way to kind of hypnotize yourself and get into that state. But we're going to cover it more next time, probably not this time, because I really want to get the introduction to this whole thing out of the way. We will be covering it later, though. So, choices. You are so powerful that wherever your energy goes, it grows. Focus on the things that get you to where you want to be, right? Don't really pay too much attention to this chart. If you've seen my other courses, you've seen this page before. As thoughts about non-desires goes down, thoughts about desires go up, which sounds like common sense, but there's 24 hours in a day. You got 60 seconds in a minute. And we spend 45 of those seconds thinking about how broke you are, and then 15 seconds thinking about ways you could make money and how you're going to do it. You've only spent 15 seconds, you've only given yourself 15 seconds to think about all that. And so think about all the hours in the day. You think about how broke you are and how stressed you are and how sad you are. And then think about how many hours you legitimately think about things you could do and how you could go about doing it. You really don't give yourself enough time to do that because you're so wrapped up in stress. And it's not fair to you because you don't give yourself that time. So naturally, when you stop thinking about non-desires, you start thinking about desires. And as thoughts about desires increase, alignment actions increase. So as thoughts about, well, how am I going to make this money? How am I going to become this person who gets money? Alignment actions increase. Alignment action would be you want to make a lot of money, you want a lot of opportunities. You're going to start Googling opportunities. You know, you're going to start Googling, conventional and unconventional ways people make money. And then as alignment actions increase, manifestations increase. So you're manifesting money. And so, you've already Googled and researched a lot of ways people make money. And you pick a few for yourself, right? And you dabble in some of them and see what happens. Some of them give you something, some of them don't. But either way, you learn through the experience and your manifestation increase, so money starts coming in. But if you had never given yourself the time to think about yourself in a positive way and how you're going to reach out to grab all these opportunities, you would have never looked up opportunities that suit you. Many people forget that hand models exist. So there are a lot of people, I've seen people say it, they're like, oh, I feel ugly in the face and I feel like there's nothing I can do. And then there's like opportunities where people are paying for hand models. You model nail polish or you model jewelry or gloves or things like that. People are paying for hand models, but especially for like nail polish ads. People forget hand models exist. I forget hand models exist. So you're like, well, I'm ugly in the face and I don't know how I'm gonna make money. Da 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 da. And then you remember that hand models exist, and you look at your hands and you go, you know what, my hands aren't so bad. Let me submit some. Well, I was gonna say headshots, but they're your hands, so hand shots. Let me submit some pictures to a company, and then you get hired to be a hand model, and you're getting money. You know, that is kind of the course of what it means to open yourself up to opportunities and look at unconventional things, because most people probably don't look at their hands and think about should they be a hand model or not. But when you open up yourself to opportunities, you can look around and see what you have. And guess what? Be a hand model, you didn't even have to buy anything, right? You didn't have to practice walking, you didn't have to buy anything. It's about using what you have. Now, sometimes people say you have to spend money to get money, which I do kind of agree with sometimes, but it's not all the time. Snap a picture, an HD picture of your hand with your iPhone and send it into the right person, and boom. So, and that's just an example. I can't give you every type of way to get money in a way that might be good for you, but you'll never know if you don't search, right? So thinking about non-desires takes away resources and energy and time from desires. It's just the obvious. We have the attention funnel here, which we'll probably talk about next time. Kind of diving in deep, and I want to just kind of wrap up here. Because I feel like there's a lot, and I feel like the next lesson is gonna be heavy. But finally, just stop drawing in versus yanking. So you want to stop yanking your manifestations. Like you want abundance, you want money, you want to be rich, and it's not getting here. I've tried this and this, and it's not getting here, and it's taking too long, and it's really getting, on my nerves and really annoying me. And what am I not doing right? And you're yanking, you're watching those videos talking about why your manifestation isn't coming to you, and it's not doing you any good. So stop viewing your abundance goals as fighting or avoiding you. You don't have to yank them towards you. When you can stand, become an attractive force that gives your goals space and allows them to flow to you. View yourself as a light, view yourself as capable, and view your goals as the moths that are attracted to the light, right? So feel how much your desires pull you in. Now imagine the feeling reversed with you pulling your desires in. And we are going to stop here just because next lesson we're going to go into pathways and like alternate ways to get money, and also channeling your attention and focus, and also like the self hypnosis thing, which the self hypnosis thing is not going to be like a big part of this, but it is an option for people who want to try. And the real strength in the self hypnosis thing is not actually in hypnotizing yourself. It's just giving yourself more time to think about your desires. Because if we go back to this page here, and we're gonna delve into it when it comes to these charts here, why your attention matters. But let me see. If we go back to this chart here, remember, thoughts about non-desires goes down, thoughts about desires go up. So if you take a little bit of time every day to do the self-hypnosis, thinking about how you're going to get money, calling yourself, abundant, rich, and capable, it's not so much that the benefit is you can hypnotize yourself into a bag, which I guess some people can. It's more like you're not spending that time mindlessly scrolling social media and looking at what everyone else has and what everyone else is doing, or you're not subscribing to the normal thought patterns. Because again, we're breaking outside of the box. That's the goal here. And you're not laying down in bed thinking the normal everyday thought patterns of, well, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Because you will slip into them automatically without knowing it, just because you're so used to doing it. So the self hypnosis is not really about Harry Houdiniing a bag of cash under your bed. It's more about spending more time being mindful and focusing on what you want to think about. There are so many opportunities in the world, and I can, they're available to me. And what do I have around me that can really, help me reach my goals? What can I use? Like, how do I get a leg up in the world? Uh and how do I feel comfortable about it? How do I feel like it's easy? How do I feel like it's no longer a fight and a struggle? Of course, you're going to have to put some effort in, but how do I, access these things easily? And that's what the hypnosis is about. It's not about magically making something happen. It's about literally spending more time relaxed, for one, more time thinking about getting to what you actually want. But we'll go into it next time, and we're going to get into all of that. But for now, I feel like there's a lot to think about today. There's a lot of points, and again, going back to that chart, these are just descriptions within the course, right? If you have luck manifesting currency, money, and cash, like, go ahead, go for it and enjoy it. This is just basic guide, right? This is just a basic guide. You don't have to follow it, but I feel like there's a lot. So, we asked you, what do you really want to manifest, you know, and why you might want to manifest from here rather than here. But what do about understanding your goals, because you've always been thinking about money, 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 and now you're on this course. So how do you feel about this chart? And most importantly, how do you feel about your relationship with money? So how have you been talking about it, and what type of relationship do you want with money now? Moving forward, how are you going to change the way you speak about money? How are you going to calm yourself down? Um, how are you going to, do little things to shift your mindset? And part of this course is us helping you shift your mindset. But, before we get to the chapters, because we can't do them all at once, what little steps do you feel right in your heart to take? And finally, like, none of this is homework, but it's things to think about. And finally, what unconventional outside of the box opportunities are you going to look into? Because you don't know what you don't know, right? So what are you going to look into that kind of change things for you, that will be something new? Because you want to get something new out of life, you got to do something new, and it doesn't always got to be something crazy. Um, but you want something new, you got to do something new. So what new thing are you going to look up? What are you going to do? And not do it out of desperation. Do it out of genuine curiosity, because you just never know. You want good energy behind what you want. You don't want desperation. You don't want, I don't know, you don't want to infuse, you know what? You don't want to infuse your task with a lack mindset of, well, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. Because think about it, if you have the ability to magically manifest a career you've never heard of before, uh, and it gets you money, but you hate it and it's weird, but you could magically manifest that, then why can't you magically manifest a career that's really weird and new and gets you a lot of money, but you enjoy it? You know what I mean? Because if we're going to talk about, magic and manifesting and doing the unheard of and doing the impossible, then let's really do the unheard of and really do the impossible, right? And we do live in reality, so there are times we may have to compromise, but you do not know when those times are all the time. You really don't. Uh, so just something to think about and something to dwell on. We will be getting deeper into the other things next time. I'm not spoiling anything. I will be getting into the other topics next time. But that was the money manifestation course, and good luck. Any comments you have, leave them down below. I'll be opening the Discord soon. We can chat in there. But if you learned something, I don't know, leave it down below. Or if you have a point to make, go ahead and leave it. I might address it if I see it before I film the next course. But otherwise, enjoy your evening.